Good afternoon. The purpose of this role play is to demonstrate a few of the techniques that can be utilized in motivational interviewing to help resolve client ambivalence and elicit change. We demonstrate for you here 3 methods of helping the client explore his feelings and concerns while avoiding judgment, confrontation, and thus minimizing client resistance. Whichever techniques are used, the therapy would begin essentially in the same way, with the therapist and the client meeting, and the client explaining in his own words why he came to see her. This gives the therapist the opportunity to evaluate where the client is on the stages of change continuum, and thus would help her to choose the appropriate tact. Because the client will tend to move back and forth on this continuum over time, at the beginning of each subsequent meeting, it is the therapist's first task to make that same determination and then pursue the most appropriate techniques for where the client is on that given day.
Good morning, Frank. What brings you in to see me today?
Well, although I don't really feel like I have a problem, my wife and my kids had some concerns about my drinking. It's beginning to put a bit of a strain on our relationship, so I thought I'd humor them and come in to see a counselor. In this first scenario, which we call the good things and the less good things, the aim of the technique is to help the client explore their feelings about what they're doing without referring to their behavior as a problem. The client, rather than the therapist, identifies problems or concerns. First, the client is asked to describe the good things about his behavior, and then is asked to discuss each of the less good things. As they proceed, the therapist will ask the client why they consider these issues to be less good. Then, the therapist will summarize what the client has said in you language, Y-O-U.
So, Frank, please tell me some of the good things about drinking for you.
Well, let's see. I enjoy the taste. It's something that I have in common with my friends. We all drink a lot, but I seem to be able to drink them all right under the table. And yet, I never really feel especially drunk. And over the last few years, I seem to be able to drink even more, and it doesn't really seem to affect me any differently. Also, it helps me to pass the time, and makes me to feel a little less restless and bored ever since I retired.
And what are some of the less good things about drinking for you?
Well, it seems to bother my wife, and it seems to be making my children uncomfortable.
And why is this one of the less good things?
Well, I love my family dearly, and I value my relationship with them, and I don't want to do anything that makes them unhappy.
So what other things might you consider less good about drinking?
Well, my doctor seemed to express some concern over what he referred to as my liver numbers. So it's possible that the drinking may be affecting my health in some way.
And why is that less good?
Well, here I am, finally in my golden years of retirement, after working my butt off for so long, for most of my life. And wouldn't it be a shame now if I ended up struggling with health problems instead of having the opportunity to enjoy my retirement?
I understand. And what other things might you consider less good?
Well, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I feel pretty darn lousy. And what's really weird is sometimes I find myself looking out the window, seeing my car in the driveway, and yet I don't remember having driven myself home the night before. I see the car there, but I don't remember how it actually got there. I was out hanging with my friends, we were drinking, and next thing I know, I'm home, but I don't necessarily remember the trip. So I'm thinking maybe the drinking is affecting my memory as well.
So drinking helps you pass the time, you enjoy it, and it's something you can do with your friends, and it keeps you from being bored and restless. On the other hand, you say that you feel drinking may be affecting your relationship with your family, and you really care about your family. And it makes it difficult for you to function in the morning because you're not feeling so well. And that may be affecting your health and your memory as well. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I suppose it does. Note that the therapist avoided using the words problem and concern when speaking to the client. In this next scenario, which we call the future and the present, the technique used is to get the client to identify the things that they don't like about their behavior. It is used with those who are in contemplation or action stages on the continuum. This is Spot, our therapy cat. It is used with those who are in the contemplation or action stages. In other words, those who readily acknowledge that they have a problem in order to enhance the motivation to change. The strategy focuses on the contrast between the client's present circumstances and how they would like things to be in the future.
So Frank, you've told me something about your drinking, and the things you like about it, and the things you don't like about drinking. You said that you feel that drinking may be becoming a problem, and at this point in your life, you think that you may be ready to make a change. So Frank, how would you like things to be different for you in the future?
Well, for starters, I still want to be able to just enjoy the taste of a good beer. And I'd like to be able to socialize without feeling like I have to drink. I'd like there to be less friction between me and my wife, and I'd like the kids to stop feeling uncomfortable around me. And I'd like to feel that my brain and my body are in good working order.
So what might be stopping you from doing the things you would like to do now to make this happen?
Well, I feel pressured by my friends. Like they would give me a hard time if I suddenly would have stopped drinking with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a guy thing. And I guess I'm afraid I don't really know what I would do with all my free time if I didn't spend so much time hanging out with my buds drinking. This line of questioning may then lead to the client's exploration of their concerns about their behavior further and how they might elicit change. In this next scenario, which we just refer to as exploring concerns, the goal is to get the client to say for themselves what worries them about their behavior and to highlight the discrepancy between the concerns and the good things. This strategy can only be used with clients who are concerned about their behavior. For these clients, exploring concerns may generate a sense of discomfort and thus lead to a decision to change.
So tell me, Frank, what concerns do you have about your drinking?
Oh, well, I'm concerned about the way my drinking affects my relationship with my wife and with my children. There seems to be a lot of friction between us lately and a lot of discomfort in our lives these past few years. I love them all dearly, and to be honest, I don't like what I see happening to us.
Mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying. And what other concerns do you have?
Well, I was a little alarmed at hearing my doctor mention liver issues. I finally made it to retirement, and I'd hate to see my health go down the tubes now when I finally have the chance to enjoy the free time that I've worked so hard to earn.
Frank, what other concerns do you have about your drinking?
Well, I don't like the feeling of not remembering stuff. It's kind of scary that I can't remember driving myself home at night.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I haven't fried my brain with all this drinking. Also, I'm kind of worried that I may end up hurting myself or someone else, or that I could end up in jail for a DUI. At this point, the therapist is in a better position to explore in detail whatever concerns are raised. She must be diligent in using open-ended questions and reflective listening. Then she will summarize the client's concerns in you language once again, as in our previous example, comparing the concerns to the good things about Frank's drinking.